Hey everybody, Timmy here over on the Turn 'em Sideways YouTube page, and I decided to go ahead and drop another video here. This time doing a bit of a commander spotlight on a nifty little card I love. I'm not going to do a whole deck tech because I don't want to do just deck techs, and EDH or commander deck techs just take way too damn long. So instead I'm going to go ahead and just talk about a strategy for the commander and some obvious includes you should look for if you decide to go ahead and throw the deck together. Our first commander spotlight is the Caretaker, which is a 2/2 mono black commander for 5 mana, which is a huge ripoff of itself, and he looks like an obvious Papa Roach fan, but he has an interesting pull to him. Whenever a creature with power 1 or less is put into the grave, we can return it to the battlefield at the end of the turn so long as he's still on the board. So what we need is a card with power 1 or less, and one that we specifically want in the graveyard for some benefit. But we also need a sack outlet, and that just means we got to have a sack outlet on the field too, meaning we got to complicate the issue further. Something that specific, dude, I mean, we just need a lot of them, which we can't do in a Highlander format. It's a singleton thing, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do with this. So all jokes aside, obviously we're going to do Shadowborn Apostles, and we're going to use a lot of them. We're going to sack them, fetch out a demon to the board, and then we can get them back at the end of the turn if we have, Caretaker on the field, and then we can just sack again on our opponent's turn. It's an awesome plan if all goes according to plan anyway. The problem now comes down to, getting 6 out of a 99 card deck. Enter Thrumming Stone. Thrumming Stone gives your spells Ripple 4, meaning you play a spell and then you look 4 cards deep. Set aside any and all cards with the same name as the one you just played, and you go ahead and play one of those again. Lather, rinse, repeat. It's awesome, and this is the only deck I know of in EDH where this will even come up, honestly. You have to remember, though, we're running 40 Shadowborn Apostles because we're going to run them at all, honestly. So if your friends tend not to be pricks, they should just let you go ahead and fetch out all of your Shadowborns, once you have 5 aside from the Ripple. That's the rule we have in my play group anyway. Before we get to the various baddies we can fetch out by sacrificing our apostles, let's look at ways we can go ahead and capitalize even more on sacrificing them. We may not always get the full value that we intended from having the Caretaker on board and sacrificing the apostles. So let's look at a few cards that'll help us get a little bit extra incentive from doing it at all, just in case. Blood Artist, Death Greeter, Grim Horror Specs, Falconwrath Noble, and Smother Abomination. These are all great cards, and they're in here for a reason. Blood Artist, Death Greeter, the Noble, they each affect everyone's life totals, either your opponent's, yours, or both. It's great either way. Having these on the field might only make a tad bit of difference, but it's still a difference nonetheless. Smother Abomination and Grim Horror Specs each help us draw cards, and oftentimes we're talking 6 at a time because of our apostles. We can't afford to not have these in such a deck. Now, Smothering Abomination does force us to sack a creature each upkeep, which can be annoying, but as long as Caretaker is on the field, you should be fine. Go ahead and throw in Grave Pact, one of my favorite cards ever printed. For just 4 mana, we get an enchantment that forces each opponent to sacrifice a creature every time one of ours hits the grave. And as I just mentioned with drawing cards a second ago, that's usually 6 at a time. We could realistically clear the board by just fetching out a baddie. That's insane value right there. And don't forget Dictate of Erebos either, and why not throw Dark Prophecy in there for that matter? I hope you're loving it thus far because it seems cheeky and fun as hell, right? I mean, I play it and I think it's great. But I got some bad news for you, and it's just my opinion, but in all honesty, we don't have much in the way of demons that are worth a damn. They're all pretty shitty. The best one we had got straight up banned. At first he couldn't be our general, then he just couldn't be in the deck. There's just no country for old Grizzlebrand there. So what are we to do when there's not much in the way of a demon package? There's only a few to choose from, so you go ahead and just pick them as they go. Harvester of Souls is a 5/5 Death Toucher with a good body, and he'll help us draw cards, which is always great once we actually get the demon onto the field. But more specifically, he'll do it whenever something dies, no matter whose board it's on, or, we can be cheeky and sack our apostles again after getting him. We can just go ahead and draw tons of cards off of him. Pretty straightforward. Archfiend of Depravity is a good way to drop down the law into someone trying to go a little too wide for your liking. If you're going to go wide on us, then go ahead and spit on it to prevent the tearing. If not, I'll drop down Archfiend, and if you don't know what to do, you're going to lose some baddies here. If they don't know what's in the deck, you can fetch this up on their turn after they do some shenanigans. Just watch them cry. What an expensive doubling season you bought. Oh, here we go. Pestilence Demon is all about crowd control and possibly putting someone within death's reach. A 7/6 body isn't easy to deal with, and as long as you hold up mana for his ankle biting, this can go unchecked for a while. Try not to do it when you're wanting to cheat something out, with your apostles and stuff, because they're 1/1s, and I did it by mistake once, and everyone laughed at me, and they wouldn't give me a do-over because they're mean and they're net deckers, and I hate them. Quick little demon of note, Demon of Death's Gate is a 9/9 that you can cheat out even sooner than you can do the Apostle trick. Nothing special to say here, really. He's just a good combat demon that can be cheated out on turn 2. Watch people really freak out when you do that, but then, like I said, he's nothing special, so they'll just path him and then, scoop. Fuck those people. Nah, I'm just kidding. Don't scoop. This deck hopefully has resilience. While I'm thinking about it, go ahead and throw in both obbies. They're both kind of fine here, honestly. I would favor the Unshackled over the Fallen because he punishes people for being fetch happy, and he banks off the death of other creatures, meaning if we have a Caretaker on the field and we have an obby out, the Unshackled one, we can fetch up something else and make him a 10/10 in the process. Pretty cool, because then everything comes back and we can make him an even bigger threat. It's all just crazy when you think about it. Runescar Demon is, he's a fetch demon, actually, and yeah, you should run him, but fetching up a fetch feels kind of stupid, and you should feel bad for it. The way we justify it is while looking silly is that, we go ahead and get a card of our choice that we couldn't otherwise. Make sure it's situational, and you can just go ahead and throw down some punishment while having a 6/6 body to slam down. But yeah, you should feel stupid for it because it's stupid. Go ahead and consider the Persecutor, Lord of the Void, and, maybe Nephirox. These are all fine bodies to throw down as well, but they're nothing really to write home about. The Persecutor can halt some combo players, and Lord can take out the piss of someone's fight if you hit them. Nephirox can just be a mini Thrax if you get the chance, but again, demons in this game are kind of shit, so these seem to be the best of what's left of the shit that we have. Alright, I've shown you Commander, I've shown you the strategy you're going to go with, and I've shown you some things to consider throwing in there. What else should you put in your mono black EDH deck? Vampiric and Demonic Tutor. You just have to. I know they're a bit pricey, but you're in the best colors when it comes to fetching. Not to mention the fact that your whole deck is kind of themed around fetching. These are not optional. You have to run them. You can run Diabolic Tutor until you get them, but I better not find out that you're refusing to run these two. I will find you, and I will throat punch you. Alright, so let's go ahead and play pretend here. Someone has shut down all of the card draw engines I mentioned earlier. What are you going to do? You're going to play Phyrexian Arena because that seems like a great thing to have into the deck. For 1 life, you draw a card. Okay, yeah, more of these, please. Why can't these be as many as you want to a deck? Oh, well, that would be stupid, that's why. But I don't care, it would be amazing. Oh, and it adds 2 Devotion, which plays right into the next inclusion. Gary. You're a mono black EDH deck. You run Gary. He takes from the rich and he gives to the poor. Your opponents are always the rich and you are the poor. You are dirt poor. You just bought a Vampiric and a Demonic Tutor. His body isn't much to write about, but you're going to have tons of devotion and a nice sweeping punishment while padding your life is pretty good. Alright, so this wouldn't be an EDH strategy without an Infinite Eye win you lose on the spot combo. If everyone else is playing dirty, we have to play dirty. Don't be afraid to throw sand in their eyes. If the ref didn't see it, it never happened. You're going to run a Sanguine Bond and an Exquisite Blood. You're going to run these because you're a bad person. Plain and simple. Not to mention the fact that it'll take the focus off your Thrumming Stone anyway. People will usually know if they see the first one that you're going to have the second one. They kind of go hand in hand, or if not, they're going to want to deal with it anyway just based upon what it is. Go ahead and throw these down and make people answer it. Bloodghast and Cabal Coffers are 2 of the best mana accelerants in the game. I can't imagine the situation where you could justify not running these outside of just not having them or the budget. Those are fine, but I still suggest getting them if you're going to run this at all. They help you speed up your deck so much for big plays like Exsanguinate or Sadistic Sacrament with a kick. Exsanguinate is like Gary, but you actually pay into it. Whereas Sadistic Sacrament is just a great way to deal with that guy who's talking about how he has all those new expensive cards he just put into the deck he hasn't played with yet. Go ahead and kick this, get those, maybe you can play the next time, twat. Lastly, I'll say you should consider throwing in a No Mercy because I run one and I promise you it actually pays for itself. It encourages people to look the other way while you start to diddle and set up your board. I mean, sure, the damage is still going to happen if they swing, but that means it was a kill shot anyway. They have to do all or nothing. It really does take the pressure off of you while you're trying to recuperate after a board sweep or something. Now, obviously, there are still a lot of open slots because, as I said, I'm not going to do a card-for-card deck tech in Commander. It would just take too long. Throw in things that you think you want to have in your strategy. The mana base, I already mentioned Cabal Coffers, and there are so many utility lands in black that you should have a field day. Obviously, you're going to have some basics. As always with my decks, they have to be snow-covered swamps. If you can't get snow-covered swamps, maybe some Chinese 10th edition ones, but the deck loses a good majority of its functionality when you do that. So you have to get the snow-covered ones, in my opinion. Alright guys, these are just some cards I think you should consider throwing in if you're going to piece together a Caretaker EDH deck. I did, and it's been a ton of fun, and it steals wins all over the place because a lot of people don't know what to expect when they see you coming. So be prepared to get some hate if you throw down that Thrumming Stone once and you happen to play the same people again. They have to stop or you're going to get out of control. Let me know what you think about doing EDH spotlights as opposed to 100 card deck techs. I want to do things differently going forward because I don't want to do the same thing over and over because I'm going to be posting more videos now, as I said the other day. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Go ahead and tell me what you want me to do and share this video, please. I'm a Timmy, so you know how I play. Thanks for listening to Hurt 'em Sideways. Later, all.